Hello and welcome to Flux Motorsport's coverage of Round 6 of the GT1 Championship Season 2 in 2021, and today we're at a very familiar circuit to the drivers, the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, Spain. Our drivers will have done thousands of laps of this 2.9 mile circuit, but with a potential change in weather on the radar, today's racing could be incredibly tricky for them. As we can see, it's already raining, so drivers are really going to struggle this afternoon. I'm Redders, and joining me on commentary once again is McToasty, and last time out it was a commanding performance from Blankfile, winning by almost 20 seconds in the end. Given that Toyota has incredible top speed comparative to the other cars, and with few overtaking opportunities available around the rest of the circuit, under normal circumstances at least, if he can get himself up the grid, do you see anyone being able to challenge him this time around?
I'm not sure. Blankfile has been saying that his Toyota has been struggling a little bit through sectors 1 and 3 especially. It's lightning down the straight like always, but yes, direction changes is its weakness, it seems like. So the chicane in sector 3 that he's approaching now, we'll see how he takes it, but yeah, he's been saying it'll struggle a bit with the slower corners, high-speed corners, but mid-speed corners he says it's quite good through. So this one right here, through the last corner, get a launch onto the straightaway and straight towards the line. Looks like he's on an out lap, starting his lap now.
Indeed. And I guess that's one of the benefits that he'll have as well. That starting grid is quite a way down that straight, so he'll be able to use that top line speed that he has to his advantage off the start of the grid. And with that win that he had last time out, Blankfile has closed the gap up front to Bruce Law, who now holds a 17-point lead with 3 rounds to go. A little further behind is Little God in third on 122 points. That's 26 behind the leader. And just a point behind him in fourth is Immortalis. Now Martin is in 5th on 95 points after picking up a penalty last time out, which dropped him a place, but he'll be missing from action as he's replaced by Spackmeyer, who comes in as a reserve once again for tonight. Tosi, I wanted to talk about this whole Blankfile situation, because a lot of the talk coming into this season has been about Bruce Law and how he may be expected to run away with things. However, 5 rounds down, and with the exception of an unfortunate disconnection whilst leading in Austria, Blankfile has been in the top 3 for every session so far this season, not just the races but qualifying too. Assuming that the disconnection didn't happen, Blankfile could actually be leading this title race by 21 points right now. Are we maybe looking in the wrong place as to who the danger man is this season?
Yeah, I think you might be right. He's really made the Toyota work. When he says that it's slower through certain sections, that's just as fast as some other cars. So that's just to give you some perspective. Where the Toyota is quick, he is really quick. So it's just a matter of putting things in perspective there with some relative pace.
Indeed, and first time out on qualifying in Belgium 2 weeks ago, he managed to set the pole lap straight away. He's not going to do it this time, as his time so far is only best for third. It's a 2.3 seconds behind Lil God, who was out of the blocks first. Was first one out of the garage and first one onto the board with a pretty impressive lap time there of a 1:43.2. I'm only saying this because my fastest lap that I did whilst practicing around here was a 1:41, and I did that in the dry, so that tells you exactly what these drivers are capable of. So we are in the middle of our 20-minute qualifying session. If this is the first time that you've seen this and you're joining us, thank you for joining us. It is a 20-minute qualifying session with the battle for pole position being worth a point, and then afterwards, after a 2-minute set break to set up their cars, it will be a 45-minute race and a full 35 points for our winner and a further point for the fastest lap as well. So plenty to be fighting for in the championship, still plenty open. But it does look like it's coming down to a bit of a 4-way fight between Bruce Law, Blankfile, Little God, and maybe Immortalis as well. So definitely things to keep an eye out for. I've heard rumblings. I'm a proper investigative journalist, don't you know? I've heard some rumblings, so I will keep shuttum as to where I got my sources from. But someone is potentially suggesting that there may even be a two-stop race, not just for the conditions, but also maybe to play with fuel, maybe to change with tyres. Is two-stopper really something that you could see in a 45-minute race?
I don't know. I mean, the left front tire is certainly gonna take a beating with turn 3 and the last corner onto the straightaway. So it's possible, but whether that's gonna be a good strategy that's gonna result in enough pace to come back through the field twice, I'm not sure.
We'll have to keep an eye out for that when we get there into the race. So we've got a couple of reserves joining us. Once again, we've got Spankmeyer joining us after last week. He had an interesting qualifying, then accidentally kicked himself out before the start of the race, which was a bit of a shame. So hopefully he'll be with us for the race this time. But what do you expect from Spankmeyer this time around?
Yeah, like you said, he had a good qualifying result last week at the Nürburgring GP circuit. Qualified mid-pack, so he was right up there in the mix. So we'll see what he can do in the rain here. That Mercedes is quite good in the wet weather, so he might have a slight advantage over some others. So I would say he could potentially get a top 5 finish today.
We'll keep an eye out for him, as well as Destroyer, who was a reserve also last week at Nürburgring. A fantastic performance by him, just joining us for the first time. He ended up qualifying in 6th place and finishing the race in 7th. For someone who's just jumped in halfway through the season, that's an incredible result.
Yeah, he would have been looking at his notes from being a reserve driver last season, and building further on that car, on the setup, and how to drive these cars, different lines you have to take around some of these tracks, and he drifts around.
Drifting around.
Something tells me he doesn't have the traction control set too high on that car.
He's getting a proper feel out of it. Look at that, even doing a little bit of a burnout there. I'm sure that was an attempt at a burnout.
Oh.
It looks good. I'm not sure if it's fast enough. It won't be doing that. I don't know if that's preparing himself for another lap, but it's not the greatest start to do so. And then we've also got to talk about Just Piddling, who just joined us pretty much within the last hour or so, just jumping in with the opportunity. I think it's his first time getting involved in this one. Has unfortunately already picked himself up a grid penalty for some pit lane infringements. What do you expect from Just Piddling as he joins us for this event?
Well, he's very quick in the GTEs, fellow Corvette driver in that series. It's a rear-wheel drive car, so that's a similarity. But other than that, these cars are very different. Much longer wheelbase, a little bit more downforce. So it's a different beast to tame altogether. But we'll see what he can do. Currently sitting last on the qualifying, 8.5 seconds off. See if he improves here. No. Yeah, he does have that one grid place penalty, I would assume.
I don't know if Little God is just trying to get some heat into his tyres, but I've seen him weaving a little bit behind at the moment as we get to the halfway point of qualifying, and it is Little God still with that opening lap, sitting in provisional pole at the moment. The defending champion Linky Bazinga, he's struggled in the last few races, actually wasn't even able to take part in the last one, finds himself in second, and I guess for Linker it's just damage limitation to see how far up the championship he can get himself now, isn't it?
Yeah, if he can secure a good finishing positions in these last 3 rounds, you might be able to still get a top 5, or maybe even finishing in the top 3 at the end of the season, and secure a spot for next season if he wishes to drive this car again for another season.
Indeed. Started off the seasons very strongly, as he did last time out, with wins in both of the first 2 rounds, but then crashes in the 3rd and 4th, meaning retirements, and then he wasn't able to join us last week, means 3 non-scores in a row have really put him out of contention. But then, if you want proof of just how good Linga Bazinga is, you need only head over to the touring cars, which happens on Tuesday night, 8 PM UK time, 3 Eastern over in America, where he's leading the championship there by 19 points. So he's a good hand in all types of vehicles. Moving on down, Immortalis, the comeback king basically of this season so far, finds himself in 3rd place on the grid. He's not so confident on his race start for this event. One of the things that we do keep an eye out normally is Immortalis usually has lightning starts at the start, but he's not so confident in these conditions that he'll be able to replicate that. Do you think that's going to be a problem, or do you think he's maybe just trying to stir it up a little?
I think it might be the latter. Yeah, he does tend to say one thing and then end up getting a different result with the way he drives, but yeah, we'll see which one it is today. Of course, he had that very nice drive that I keep on referring to just because it was so stellar. Was the what was it, Zolder last season in the rain, and he finished 1st ahead of Linga Bazinga, I believe, with a good strategy call. So he's definitely one that's looking for a one-stop rather than a 2-stop strategy. I can also almost guarantee that.
Indeed, it was the 1st place for him in Zolder last season. Out the following round, as he gets to the final corner of this lap to see if he can improve on his lap time. A 1:45.1 is what he's done so far. He's still going to find nearly 2 seconds to be able to get himself on provisional pole. He crosses the line now and doesn't improve, so stays in 3rd place. Championship leader Bruce Law finds himself in 4th place. These conditions maybe throwing a little bit of havoc as he actually just comes into the pits before coming out for another attempt. And Blankfile, who we've said is chasing down at the moment, is in 5th, so maybe he is struggling in these conditions. Maybe his concerns were right.
Yeah, it'll be much more difficult at this point in the session as the rain continues. More water on the track, not going to be as grippy, a lot more slick. So yeah, we'll see if any of these drivers improve towards the end. It'll be a difficult task.
He gets clear of the back marker, basically drifting all around at the moment. So Blankfile maybe struggling a little bit more in these conditions than expected. As we said, he's been in the top 3 in every session so far, with the exception of the disconnection that he had in the opening race. Such a shame for him, and I think he's still annoyed by that, but as he crosses the line, will he be able to improve? He doesn't. He stays on that 1:45.5. Starling Bongo is in 6th place at the moment. CDN Trooper in the pits is in 7th, as is Dr. Potford, who is in 8th. Destroyer, our reserve driver, is down in 9th place, and running out the top 10 is Dirk Kugler. We find Smackmeyer in 11th, and Survivor is in 12th. Just Piddling gets himself up to 13th, although he does have that grid issue, that grid penalty, and Green Gaming is in 14th, rounding out the back. So 5 minutes to go. It's that time. Mystic McToasty, where do you put your chips for pole position this time?
Pole position. I think Little God is going to keep it. He made that really good lap early on when the track was a little drier, and I'm not sure if he's going to improve on his time. Might just stay how it is.
It's one of those things of Little God mentioned. We were talking about it last week. Is that one of the things that he really wanted to work on was his qualifying, because before the Nürburgring event last week, the best that he'd qualified was 5th place so far this season, but last time out he managed to get a front row start in 2nd place, so definitely started improving, and maybe that looks like what he's worked on to be able to get this provisional pole position. 8 tenths clear still of Linga Bazinga at the front, so maybe that's where his focus and effort has been. We know he's great in the races, so maybe this is just what he needed to be able to get himself back up and fighting into contention. Remember, Little God finished 2nd place in the championship last season, just 5 points behind Linga Bazinga after really coming to the front near the end of the season. Looks like maybe it's the start of the same thing again here.
Yeah, Little God's paces almost seem to swap end over end in regards to the sessions. His qualifying pace has improved drastically, but the race pace, his race setups have been very loose the last couple of races, and that's caught him out a couple times. I'll see if he throws on a race setup here and goes to practice how that car feels, and hopefully it's a little tighter for him.
3 minutes to go and the rest are chasing, and maybe Little God is feeling a little bit comfortable now. He'll only have about a minute or so to try and head out of the pits if he wants one last go at this, but maybe, as you said, maybe he's just comfortable with what he's got. Maybe he's happy with his position. It doesn't look like anyone's able to challenge him at the moment as we follow Linga Bazinga currently in 2nd place as he's just making his way through turn 7 and 8 all the way up the hill and through 9, a very difficult corner because it's one that's so inviting. Even in the dry you think, I can keep the accelerator on here longer, but that last little kink just catches you out. Down the back straight and the end of sector 2 now, round turn 10, this nice little tight corner. We still use the old layout. It's a bit weird to call it old now, but obviously as you may be aware, or maybe not, the circuit layout has changed in real life. It's a little bit more of a sweeping corner now, a bit more helpful towards motorbikes, not so much for racing cars as such, as Linga Bazinga looks like it's just getting pulled up there at the end of his lap. Is that back bar maybe getting in the way a little bit, and someone completely off and out of the way at the back there. We'll see if Linga Bazinga is able to get a little bit of a slipstream coming down to the line. Oh, he actually gets out of the spray actually and doesn't improve his lap.
Yeah, it looks like Blankfile wasn't completely in the way, but may have slowed down Linga Bazinga just a little bit with the dirty air, and yeah, just Linga not wanting to run into the back of him as he starts his lap here.
Lil God is still in the pits with just over a minute to go, so his 1:43.2 will stand as his fastest lap. Linga Bazinga actually now heads into the pits as well, so it looks like those two are set with their lap times. Of course, Immortalis in 3rd would have to find another second in order to be able to challenge even just for 2nd place. We'll watch him as he comes down now to the end of his lap. He should get one last opportunity if this one isn't good enough. Just under a minute to go. He's coming into the final sector now, the tight, twisty, difficult sector. Toasty, what's your here? The final corners, do you prefer the chicane or do you prefer the 2 sweeping corner version?
Oh, I'll always prefer the sweeping corners. I don't like that chicane very much.
As I don't think Immortalis even wanted to try it either as he backs out of the way. It looks like Blankfile wanted to back off and leave himself a gap, but he's only got about 12 seconds to make it to the line. I don't think he's going to be able to do it from there, so I think this might be game over for Blankfile as well. A lot of drivers heading back towards the pit, so it looks like it's going to be a point for Little God for pole position. We'll see if anyone else is able to challenge as someone goes for a nice little spin now. I think it might have been Boom Gaming, possibly. It was, so just gone for a spin right at the end of qualifying there. Spankmeyer finds himself in 12th as he heads into the pits. So just a few drivers we're waiting on now. Cillian Trooper, I think, may have just managed to start his lap in time as he just comes through to the end of Sector 1 now. Currently finds himself in 7th place on his final flying lap opportunity to see if he can get himself a little bit further up the grid. If he does finish here, it would actually be his career best qualifying. His best so far is 8th place twice, so this looks like it might be a new best in qualifying for him, so good job there.
Yeah, Dr. Potford and Destroyer are both out there also, and not too far off of Canadian Trooper's pace. So we'll see if CDN Trooper can keep that position.
Coming into the final sector, runs a little bit wide, coming out of back line, really cuts the curb there. I'm not sure if he gets away with that. It's I do know Blankfire was talking about in some sectors maybe the stewards have been a little bit more lenient with track limits. Like if you can get it just right, you're really able to shave the time off around these corners, because this last sector is really tight, twisty and difficult. It's kind of breaks up the free-flowing nature of the remainder of the circuit. But CDN Trooper now coming down to get to the start-finish line, and he does improve his lap time but will remain in 7th place. And that is qualifying done then. Little God gets his first pole position of this season with a 1:43.2, his first lap out of the box. Just like the wet qualifying in Belgium, it's the very first lap that was the pole position. Linga Bazinga is back in business, finds himself on the front row in 2nd place, and Immortalis is in 3rd. Behind him, the championship leader Bruce Law has to settle for 4th place, and Blank File, he said that he was going to struggle in these conditions, finds himself heading row 3 along with Snarling Bongo in 6th place. CDN Trooper gets his career best qualifying in 7th place with Dr. Potford behind him in 8th. Destroyer is 9th on the grid with Survivor joining him on row 5. 11th place is Dirk Diggler, and Spangmeyer finds himself in 12th. 13th place is Green Gaming, and Just Piddlin, one of our reserves, finds himself in 14th place on the grid. And don't forget, whilst you're here watching, to keep up with everything Flux Motorsport related, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon so that you get notified of all the latest videos as they appear here on YouTube. And why not drop us a like on this video as well? You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Flux Motorsport. And don't forget that you can also join our Discord server too to keep up to date with everything going on here at Flux Motorsport. And if you want to take on our drivers, all you need to do is head on to our website, fluxmotorsport.com. You'll be able to sign up there, and after a quick evaluation process, you'll be able to join any one of our championship races, including the GT Championship. That continues tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern in America. That's 1 a.m. UK time Saturday morning. That is at Watkins Glen. Jack NZ leads that championship by 18 points now. Then on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UK time on Sunday morning, the IndyCar Championship also heads to Watkins Glen. It's your boy Squash leads that one by 7 points. And then this coming Tuesday at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 Eastern, it is the touring cars. They are heading to Sakito, where Linga Bazinga leads that championship by 19 points. So as we're getting ready for the start of this race, McToasty, what are your predictions other than utter carnage?
Well, these guys have been really good through turn 1 and lap 1 all through the season. We'll see if that trend continues here. Lil God is going to have a difficult time with that Penaz launching off the line with no assist. That car doesn't have any assists, so it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that inside line for turn 1. And we also have reports of a growing puddle on the inside of turn 1, so they'll have to avoid that as well.
There's everything to look out for and everything to play for. The championship continues as we get started with round 6. The lights are on and the lights are off, and it's actually a really good start there by Lil God, although he gets a little bit of wheel spin, and that could possibly cause him a lot of trouble as he takes right to the inside to make sure that he defends the place. Linga Bazinga is getting right up there, but it's Immortalis that jumps right in between all of them to take the lead. What a fantastic start from Immortalis. We always say to keep an eye out for him, and well, all that talk of, oh, this start is going to be difficult, and you know exactly he had that right in mind.
Yeah, what a brave move that was. He had everyone on the brakes, braked about 50 meters later than everyone, and made that move through the middle. That's going to be a contender for overtake of the race right there.
Blankfile has already got himself up to 4th place, already made up a place. Bruce Law has struggled and dropped down to 7th, so the championship leader finding himself in a little bit of difficulty at the moment is... Oh, and that's Blankfile! Gone off into the gravel. Blankfile is down and down and down and down, and that is really not going to help the championship. He's right down in last place, and that hunt for Bruce Law suddenly becomes a lot more difficult from last place.
Yeah, well, not sure if there was contact there, but it looked like his back of his car just got spun around. Whether it was because of the weather conditions or...
Oh, is that a little bit of contact there? That's CDN Trooper being lifted up by Dr. Popford, and now Dr. Popford finds himself falling down to the back of the grid. Bruce Law doesn't care because he gets himself back up into 5th, and wow, there is action all over the track to keep an eye out for, and it's not finished at the front. Lil God is hanging on to the back of Immortalis. Immortalis with a fantastic start, but Lil God is not going to want to give this one up as he follows in 2nd place with Linga Bazinga in 3rd. Snarling Bongo gets himself now up into 4th place with Bruce Law in 5th. What an opening lap that was.
Yeah, it looked like we had someone off in the background on the last corner. It looked like it was Destroyer. Lil God making some ground here. He's really kept up through lap 1, and now after he's got that kind of sketchy launch off the line, he'll kind of settle in and try and make a move here.
Although Linga Bazinga also looking a little bit feisty behind as well, maybe looking a little bit closer to Little God than what Little God is to Immortalis. So good freeway scrap at the start of this race, and Linga Bazinga definitely wanting to make up some ground after no scoring these last 3 races. Starting to get a little bit all over the back of Little God here, so could go either way. And Starting Bongo, of course, we know good friends with Linga Bazinga, so maybe another one to keep an eye out for, because that is a potential double team move that could be coming. Although at the same time, these two are really good racers and they'll want to fight for positions themselves, not just help each other out.
Right, it's always good to see teammates free to battle amongst themselves. Looks like Blankfile has moved up 4 positions now. He's in 10th, working on 9th place.
And gets it as well as Immortalis definitely taking a nice, interesting line there through that final part of the chicane as we come through to the end of the 2nd lap. And Little God really looking a lot more stronger in maybe sector 3. So in that difficult, tight, twisty section, is there really a place to overtake? Because that kind of looks like the best place that Little God could get the move done, but it's really difficult around there.
Yeah, looking at the straight line speed there, looks like the Panos of Little God might have a little bit more downforce on there, not really able to make up any ground in the slipstream, so that would make sense that his sector 3 time would be quicker. As you said, very difficult to make a move past there.
We take a look at Blankfire now, starting to make his way up the grid, and now taking on Spankmeyer for 8th place, just a few tenths back as he drives up the inside, and very nice move there, and good by Spankmeyer to be able to see that one coming as well. They look to fight back, but it looks like with Blankfire on the inside, that 8th place is his, and suddenly that climb back up the field. I suppose that's one of the benefits of, if you're going to have an incident, have it at the start of the race, because the grid is still so close then.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier to come through the field, as not as spread apart. Look out here, just getting a little closer through sector 3 again.
And this is what we mean, it's like he's got that ability to really follow closely, but the opportunity to actually make a move is very difficult, because it's not exactly a place where you can really attempt to dive bomb either, because the corners are so tight that you're just going to inevitably crash into the driver in front, so it's not something you want to do. So it's really how close can Little God keep himself in that third sector to be able to keep the slipstream? No, Immortalis goes to the inside line there to try and avoid any incident, although Green Gaming is coming out of the pits, might have to push him back in the way, as Linga Bazinga now suddenly is all over the back of Little God for second place.
Green Gaming doing a great job to get out of the way of the front three leaders there.
Bruce Law now starting to apply a little bit of pressure to Snarling Bongo for fourth place, a little further back as well. So it's looking really interesting at the front. It's if Snarling Bongo and Bruce Law could get themselves involved in this, this could be a very tasty five-way fight.
Yeah, it really would be. Looks like Blankfile's up to 8th place already now. Really making some gains there.
Yeah, Brazilian make the move on Spankmara, who actually now just loses out to Dr. Popford and drops down to 10th place. So it looks like Dr. Popford made a move after his little incident at the start of the race, just going into the back of CDN Trooper. CDN Trooper not really affected by that, still running in 6th place, a couple of seconds behind Bruce Law, but looking very comfortable at the moment, despite all the chaos that he was involved in. And that's Immortalis running wide, and Little God takes the lead of the race.
Yes, Little God was just biding his time, really, putting on pressure through Sector 3, and there we go. Immortalis made that mistake, having some pressure applied, and looked like he might have locked up through that into that hairpin.
Easy to do in these conditions, but of course that's the break that Little God was desperately needing, and now Linga Bazinga needs to find his way through in order to keep the pressure on Little God. Or can Immortalis come back after that slight mistake there? It's looking a little bit tight around the back as well. Let's see if Bruce Law is getting close enough, not quite to Snarling Bongo, but it's so difficult to avoid mistakes like that, especially in these conditions as well. So it's not just the pressure that he was under from Little God behind, but also these conditions very difficult to drive in, especially because you're not knowing exactly what's going to happen. And of course, one of the things that makes it even more interesting is something that Blankfile brought up before we started this race, is yes, it's raining, but it's Spain. Spain is very hot, so that rain is falling, and it is causing them a little bit of difficulties in these conditions. But again, if the rain does ease up, which there is a potential that it might, we don't know if it will, but if that rain does ease up, then surely the track is going to dry relatively quickly.
Yeah, another thing to look out for here is the tire wear that their wet tires are experiencing here. Not only is it wet, which you need wet tires for, and wet tires degrade quite quickly, they're quite a soft compound, but also hot, like you said, and the more temperature that's in those tires, the faster they're going to wear, so that left front tire is going to be quite damaged at this point. Yeah, I think, like you said earlier, a two-stop strategy might be in order here.
Suddenly you're being converted as Little God actually goes a little bit wide out of that final chicane, and now Immortalis is all over the back of him. Immortalis may have another opportunity to take back the lead. We know he's good on the start, but is he good in the slipstream and on the straights? He's following. Can he find his way? He's going to try the outside line, but Little God is just going to cover that one off nicely. Good recovery there from Little God after a slight mistake coming out of that chicane. Can you believe we've almost had 10 minutes of this race already? It's been absolutely chaotic.
It's gone by quick. Looks like Bruce might have made a mistake. He's fallen back from Snarling Bongo, but Snarling Bongo has made up a little bit of ground to Linga through that little battle at the front we had there.
Not wrong, on 156.1 last time out, so it does look like there was a bit of a mistake somewhere, and Snarling Bongo, now with that pressure off of him, can try and work his way a little bit closer up to the front, just 2.5 seconds off the lead at the moment, so not too much in it. This three-way fight could become a four-way fight very shortly. We follow Immortalis again, just finding himself a little bit farther back. Lingabazinga maybe dropping back just a tiny bit at the moment. But this is where... Oh, and
Ooh, he goes
Immortalis
around.
actually makes a mistake, spins off, and that has cost him a few places as well. And Lingabazinga and Snarling Bongo both jump up into podium positions, and Immortalis' race goes from bad to worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, Lingo looked like he just tapped the back of Immortalis as he was going around, so he might have a slight front aero damage on that car. Let's see if that affects him down the straight at all.
You've got the binoculars, you're the one who's able to take a look and see. As the Snarling Bongo would definitely take advantage of this, and just hanging in that slipstream, just pulls out, sees if there's an opportunity. I don't think he'll get one from that far back, but Snarling Bongo definitely enjoying this race so far, isn't he?
Yeah, these two, if they can, they'll be really happy if they can pull off second and third, two on the podium.
As Blankfile has now got himself up into 7th place, got himself ahead of Dirk Diggler and now CDN Trooper, his next target, a few seconds down the road, and then the championship leader Bruce Law. So at the moment Bruce Law may be extending that gap a little bit, so he's got to be careful though. Of course, Lil God in the lead and Bruce Law all the way down in 5th, and that's really going to swing things back into Lil God's favour as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, Blankfile having that spin into the gravel and then pushing hard through the field. He's going to have had used up more tires as the front runners might have done, so he might be struggling a bit at this point. It doesn't look like he's gaining any time on the leader at this moment. Lapping about 2 seconds slower.
But it's that one thing that we said, with these weather conditions, with the potential issue with the tyres, it's all about the strategy in this race. Of course, we saw it work wonders for Bruce Law in Belgium a few weeks ago, taking that early pit stop, undercutting all the cars in front of him. Who's going to be looking to do something like that? Would Blankfile be able to benefit from something like that despite being 18 seconds behind? Would that be something that would work for him?
It might, yeah. He's catching up to CEN here. I think if he gets held up in the next 6-7 minutes or so, if he feels like he's getting held up behind CEN, he might go for that move and pit early. Question is what the weather might do, and what tires he's going to be looking to be on.
It's that very difficult strategy call. All the strategics on the pit wall are definitely earning their money today, as we're almost getting up to the 1/3 stage, and Blankfile is just trying to eke his way there. Snarling Bongo, and oh, here we go. Snarling Bongo trying to make the move on Lingabazinga is not going to work out there, especially with Lingabazinga having the racing line, but an attempt for Snarling. He's pushing, he wants that second place.
Yeah, he wants to get past his Mercedes teammate here as quickly as possible so he can try and chase down the blistering lap times that Little God is setting right now.
Oh, and Lingabazinga responds, and that has given the opportunity to Snarling Bongo. He's up into second, but Immortalis is right on his tail now, and Immortalis gets up the inside, and Immortalis is going to see if he can push his way through. He's going to have the inside for the chicane as well. Immortalis gets himself up into second place, but Snarling Bongo hanging on. He's not going to give this one up as they go side by side through the chicane. Immortalis cuts the chicane to go through the final corner. Snarling Bongo is hanging on to this and making sure that he keeps that second place. That was absolutely fantastic.
What a defense that was. That was incredible. I thought Immortalis had it 2 or 3 times there, but yes, Snarling not backing down from that second place.
That was absolutely brilliant to watch as we get to the 1/3 stage of this race. Little God has been able to use that battling that's been going on behind him to make a 9-second lead over Snarling Bongo, who now has second place ahead of Immortalis in third place. Linga Bazinga finds himself down in fourth after that half spin on the last lap. Bruce Law, the championship leader, now finds himself fighting for that fourth place, but still hanging on in fifth. Blankfile has just overtaken CDN Trooper, so now Blankfile is in sixth with CDN Trooper in seventh. Dr. Popford is in eighth. He's being hounded by Dirk Diggler in ninth. Survivor is down in 10th place. Destroyer, one of our reserves for this race, is in 11th place. The second of them, Spangmeyer, is in 12th, and the third, Just Piddling, finds himself in 13th place and going quite slowly there. And last place, after what looks like a fair bit of damage to the front of that car, Green Gaming finds himself down in last place. But what an incredible battle that was. I mean, I was certain that Immortalis had that second place, but Snarling Bongo was not going to give that one up. Even in places where you thought it's done, it's over, Immortalis has got this, Snarling Bongo hung in there. That was fantastic driving, not just from him, but from Immortalis not to hit into them either. Brilliant, epic racing, and that is exactly what we get from Flux Motorsports.
Yeah, side by side through most of the third sector there, and I didn't think it could get any better, but then they went side by side through the chicane in GT1 cars in the wet, so that was impressive.
And do you know this guy, by the way? He was a few laps ago, I'm sure he was saying, oh, you can't do anything in Sector 3. It's terrible, you can't make moves in Sector 3. Whoever that guy is, get rid of him, he knows nothing. As they continue their battle then for second place, and it looks like Immortalis, I don't know if he's just trying a little bit of a flashing lights thing there, just to try and distract him. But obviously, far less of the battles mean 3 seconds faster that last lap for both of them, but still, Little God leading the way, still the only one under 1 minute 50. He's really just extending that lead, and just like Blankfile last week, he's just leaving them at the moment, and that's exactly what he needs, especially for his championship battle with Bruce Law down in fifth at the moment.
Yeah, Little God has certainly gotten that race set up under control. Doesn't look like he's having any problems at the moment. 10 seconds lead now.
Immortalis still putting on the pressure, and it's just, you don't want to leave because you know something might be coming up here. It's starting maybe a little bit slow out of that exit. Immortalis now chasing behind and tries to go for that inside line again. Snarling Bongo not quite as open this time, covers it off a little bit better, so keeps himself clear ahead, and that just makes it a little bit easier for him in the chicane. It's looking tight. There's going to be another fight here soon, and I love it.
Yeah, Linga catching back up as well. Bruce not far behind him.
If only we had Little God just right in front of them as well, it would be even more epic. Peter on the YouTube chat saying this is a great race so far, and I have to agree with him. It's been amazing so far. Don't forget, if you want more from Flux Motorsport, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification icon. You can see all the races as they happen in this championship. If you want to be part of it as well, just head to our website, fluxmotorsport.com. and you'll be able to sign up and join our championships today. Just like McToasty, it's not just the wonderful voice in the commentary box, he also takes part in some of the championships as well. Looking forward to this next weekend, heading to Watkins Glen.
Oh yeah, it's been interesting practicing, seeing what times people have been setting for the GTE race. It looks like it might actually be a wet race like this one. The weather's changed a little bit throughout the week, so might even be a wet race for the IndyCar too, which is quite rare. So that'll be interesting, going around the short track in the IndyCars in the wet.
I am looking forward to that one, and I'm sure everyone else will as well. Don't forget, that is tomorrow night and Saturday night. That's 8 PM Eastern or 1 AM UK time for us in the UK for Saturday morning and Sunday morning, as Immortalis is now trying to force his way up the inside, and here we go again. It's round 2, and this time it looks like Immortalis has got it, pushes Snarling Bongo through and takes second place. That was forceful, but he made it through and back up into second place. So it's a recovery drive once again from Immortalis, but exactly the kind of drive that he needed.
Yeah, it looked like Snarling Bongo got caught out a bit by the back marker that I think was just piddling. He was off the track, but yeah, it looked like Snarling Bongo just didn't take that speed through the corner, and Immortalis took advantage of that.
As Linga Bazinga now tries to sniff maybe an opportunity to try and take that podium position back that Snarling Bongo took a little bit earlier, and I love how good this battle has been between all of these drivers. It's just back and forth between them all, and Bruce Law is just hanging back a little bit. He's just keeping an eye on it, maybe keeping himself clean, keeping his nose clean, trying to avoid any of the carnage up ahead potentially. And these guys have been racing really good and really hard and really tough, so Bruce doesn't want to get himself caught up if there is anything. Just like that, with Immortalis spinning around and dropping down to 5th, and that's exactly what we were talking about. And once again, Immortalis, I don't know if he's just trying to find himself some entertainment here. Oh, second place. Little God's 15 seconds up the road. Let's do some more overtaking again. I don't know if it's that or just another bit of an incident, but just as he got himself back up into second place, and he's got to do the work all over again.
Yeah, it looks, from his recent drive, it looks like he might be able to do it, though. Back up to second. I wouldn't be surprised.
Now, I wonder if when we get to this position of Immortalis maybe getting up close to these guys again, that the guys behind like Snarling Bongo and Linga Bazinga and Bruce Law, maybe they've seen what Immortalis did earlier with Snarling Bongo, and they know what to do when it comes to a fight and a defense. Will they look to have been keeping an eye on that? Would they be seeing what the drivers are doing up ahead, or are they being too focused on their own race?
It depends on the driver. I'd say half of them are probably focused on what's around them right now. They need that awareness of whether a car might be coming up alongside them through a corner, and other half of them might be looking at the times of the leader right now and thinking who would be better if they didn't try and battle at this point.
I love this. An overtaking Barcelona. What madness is this? That's Garfield on YouTube shouting, and well, we can make it happen. That's the thing. And oh, hello. This looks like things might have been interesting. Have you noticed something that I've just noticed here, McToasty?
The rain stopping, perhaps?
The rain has stopped. So we were talking about how difficult it would be in these conditions with it being a hot track. If the rain stopped, it might dry up the track quite quickly, and now this is where the battle goes into overdrive. It's not just about what you can do on the circuit, it's about making the stop at the right time, or do you stick with the wet? We've seen the difficult choice at Renault last season. Some drivers, only a few drivers decided to pit that time around, but it worked wonders for them, for those that did. Will that history for some of the drivers who stuck it out come back to haunt them, and will they make the pit stop? We'll have to see. It's looking difficult, and of course we've only just gone past the halfway stage as well, so if the track dries up quickly, I think we may be seeing a rush into the pit lane here, as Linga Bazinga now is looking like he's getting into that slipstream. Can he close in a little bit more on Snarling Bongo up ahead, as Bruce Law is actually defending a little bit from Immortalis as well, so it could be a potential double move. Not quite working out that way at the moment.
Yeah, looks like, oh, was that a Survivor around in the... Looks like Green Gaming, maybe. Luckily he was...
Green Gaming.
Yeah, luckily he was off the track enough to allow the leaders through. Looks like he's having some difficulties with that car.
I wonder if he's already pitted to go for dry tyres just because the rain stopped.
Could be a possibility.
It might be a bit too early for the dry tyres at the moment, but you see there's only a little, and maybe a couple of the other drivers who are just a lap down or so, maybe just trying that gamble early on. You're down the grid, you might as well just give it a try and see what happens. It's not quite paying off. I think it is a bit too early to go for the slicks just yet.
Yeah, we're still seeing some spray coming off the tires of the cars here. Some more in certain sections than others. But yeah, parts of the track are looking like they're drying just a bit.
Linger goes quite wide there out of the corner, and that has given eMotorsports a sniff. We know what he does in Sector 3. We've seen enough of it already so far this race. You don't need to give him a second opportunity. It's a bit of a love-hate situation, I think, eMotorsports with this final sector. He's not too fond of that first corner going into the final sector, but the rest of it he absolutely loves.
Yeah, the tight, twisty sections that you don't carry too much speed into.
But Linga Bazinga are able to get a really good exit out of that final corner. In fact, Bruce Law is now trying to potentially have a sniff, decides better of it, but he's looking, and suddenly Bruce Law wants that fourth place as Blankfowl comes into the pits, as does Dr. Popford. So here come some of those pits. We did say Blankfowl may be one of the first to go for it, considering his position. So now we'll see if that gamble pays off for him.
Yeah, Spankmeyer and Destroyer both in the pits as well. It's probably for some new soft dry tires, as Little God is his lap times are falling off a little bit, so he might be thinking of dry tires pretty soon too.
Got himself a 15-second lead at the moment. It's a nice comfortable gap, so there's plenty of opportunity if things don't quite work out in the pit stop. He's got that comfortable gap, and of course all of these guys up to 6th place haven't stopped yet, as Dr. Popford is actually has Dr. Popford come out ahead of Blankfowl in the pit stops? I think he has. So Dr. Popford had a better pit stop than Blankfowl, so that's worked out well for the pit crew there. Maybe Blankfowl just fixing a little bit of damage in the process as well. We'll have to keep an eye out. And actually, I think maybe as Little God had a little bit of an incident, or as he come into the pit, he's coming into the pits now. I wonder if there was maybe a little bit of an incident, because that 15-second gap has actually closed down to just a few seconds, as both Snarling Bongo and Linga Bazinga both pit as well. So it's really coming into all of these drivers to go onto the dry tires. So maybe a couple of them tried a little bit too early, but now the top 5 have all pitted. Survivor finds himself in 6th, actually quite a long way back at the moment, so I'll have to see what happens with him as we keep an eye out in the pit lane as to who's stopping where, and it's all a battle in the pits and we can't quite see it. There is Little God coming out now, so Little God is keeping himself up ahead there, and will come out first and retains the lead, as it's quite difficult to see who's coming out. eMotorsports is still in the pits. Linga Bazinga is maybe just making a jump, as Snarling Bongo I think maybe has lost out a little bit. It looks like Bruce Law has managed to get the jump there. As we take a look onto the track, there's CDN Trooper in 6th place, just coming around now. So looks like Blankfowl had quite the lengthy pit stop there, so it looks like we missed out a little bit, unfortunately for him. But Little God is increasing that lead once again as they do the swap of tyres, and keeps his lead.
Yeah, just a slight technical issue there that we had through the pit stop phase. Seems like the cameras weren't picking up much either way, but we see Little God picking up the pace again. 12-second gap, so it looks like whatever incident he might have had getting into the pits, looks like he's extended that gap again.
As Bruce Law definitely won out in the pit stops, he's got himself up into 3rd place, and maybe not the thing that Steve Little God would have wanted to see. Bruce Law now getting himself up into 3rd place, closing that gap and stopping that damage from being third place. Finding himself about 13 seconds behind. Just a third of the race to go now. It's going to be difficult as the back marker getting out of the way for eMotorsports. So it's opened up a little bit after those pit stops, and there are just a little bit of spray still coming up. So it's not quite completely dry yet, but we did say it would be a little bit quick if it did happen. As we get to the 2/3 stage, Little God is still leading away. He's got a 13.5 second lead over Linga Bazinga, who finds himself in second place. Bruce Law, the defending championship leader, is in third place with eMotorsports in fourth, starting Bongo. Those 5 drivers have pretty much provided a load of our entertainment this afternoon. He finds himself in fifth place. CDN Trooper, a fantastic drive by him, finds himself in 6th place. Not sure if he's done a pit stop yet. No Talk to Potford has in 7th place. A good result for him, as Dirk Diggler finds himself in 8th. Blank File has disappeared. Blank File is out of the race. What's happened there?
I think it might have been an issue with this pit stop. He was in there for a while, and it came out behind many of the drivers who pitted after him, so I think he may have just decided to retire.
Oh, what a shame. And as he was starting to make a comeback in the championship as well, and that's really going to make things a lot more difficult, as actually Bruce Law has dropped to 5th as he had an incident, as he's lost all of those positions once again, and now has to do the work and finds himself back in 5th place.
Yeah, everyone's kind of yo-yoing back and forth up and down the timing board here.
It's really difficult to follow this. As soon as one thing happens, something else happens, and the first 2 in the championship really having a difficult day of it so far. It's really not been a great day, but it's not over yet. Still 13 minutes left, and those few drivers up ahead of him are not too far away. Bruce still has an opportunity to make these moves in these last closing minutes of this race, hasn't he?
Yeah, and we're already seeing much quicker times than we did in qualifying. 1:38 now.
What this would do in the championship, at least, is if things stay as they are, and I believe that, well, I was going to say I believe that Little God has the fastest lap of the race, but of course they're now on dry tyres, so that could be completely changing as we speak. In fact, at the moment, having a quick look at it, I can see eMotorsports on a 1:38.3, so just a tenth faster than Little God's best at the moment. So it does look like then eMotorsports will take the point for the fastest lap as things stand at the moment. So what that would do is mean that the gap, if it stays as it is, would close to 14 points, with Little God taking second place in the championship behind Bruce Law, who'd still have the lead. So it's looking interesting. This championship is far from over.
Yeah, another thing to watch out here for, the track limits might be getting a little bit more strict as the track dries out. It's pretty well known that in wet weather the race director is a little bit more lenient, but as it gets drier, drivers might have to adjust their line through this chicane especially. And
Simon Bongo makes a little bit of a mistake there, and that gives Bruce Law an opportunity to sniff up at the final corner. Not quite close enough yet, but Bruce is definitely back in the hunt and trying to close that gap and get himself further up so that he can extend that gap. As we said, 14 points as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, Linga and Mortalis now have a car back marker between these two. Much further up the road now. As there's CDN. Looks like I'm not sure if did he make a pit stop? CDN Trooper? I'm
not sure, but then you look at the same time, the lap times are very much quite as competitive as those right in front, so I would assume he has. He wouldn't be doing those lap times on wet tyres around this circuit.
You're right, he must be on dries. So yeah, that would be a very good result for him.
6th place. Did he get a top 5 position?
earlier on in the season, or would this be his equaling his best finish?
CDN Trooper did finish in 5th place in both Willow Springs and also last time out at Nürburgring, so he has had 2 top 5 finishes. So it's definitely, he's starting to get himself up there. Maybe, oh, a starting Mongo spins off, and that is the opportunity that Bruce Law needed. Bruce up into 4th.
Yeah, Snarling Mongo to the back of the car, just getting away from him there as he got onto the power out of that long hairpin right-hander, but getting back on it now.
I did see that was the corner where there was maybe still a little bit of spray. I don't know if it would still be hanging around at this point, but maybe potentially something that caught him out. But of course that's also opened up the opportunity for CDN Trooper, who's got himself up into 5th place now.
So it would be another top 5 finish for him, 3rd one this season, I believe, if he keeps this up.
He's looking good. He's 7th in the championship at the moment, just finding himself a few points ahead of Linga Bazinga, but Linga up in 2nd would be jumping him. But CDN has got to be loving this. It's steady growth, it's steady progression, isn't it? I think that's the way that you can take a look at it and realise he's starting to get himself up there. Maybe if he can try and get himself maybe the odd podium or so working into next season, it's something that he could potentially build up, because he's starting to get there now.
Yeah, he's won the GTE championship last season, just getting his bearings in the GT1 cars, and he'll be looking for a top 5 in the points championship next season if he decides to participate.
Him and there were connection issues once again for Blankfile. He's a little bit annoyed from that, and understandably chasing Bruce Law in the championship. He was in 2nd place, but he's going to fall right back once again. Another unfortunate disconnection just when he really didn't need it, as we get down to just 8 minutes left in this race, just a few more laps to go, as once again I think that might be pre-gaming, just finding a way off the track to stay out of the way there, as Immortalis is in 3rd place, really hunting down Linga for 2nd now.
Yeah, getting very close through the low to mid-speed corners. Very close.
Tries up the inside there. Linga running a little bit wide, and now finds himself under all kinds of pressure from Immortalis, who's all over the back of him and looks to, oh, that was close, but I don't think it's going to quite work out there. Linga able to cover off the line, but now down the back straight it's going to be difficult, and we're getting into that sector as he gets there. Look at the slipstream effect. He's been forced to the outside by Linga, but of course that tightens the corner for Linga, and we know what happens with Immortalis when he gets a sniff and an opportunity, and he's bounces off the curb. Can he get it done around the outside? He's going to have to go the other way from what he likes around this section, as Linga Bazinga is taking the inside, and we're going side by side once again. I think this is round 3 now, just a different driver, but Linga manages to keep himself up ahead, but Immortalis is still in that slipstream and down the main straight with 6.5 minutes to go. He's all over the back of Linga. Will he be able to try and get the inside line here? It looks like maybe he's not quite in touch, but he is. He's making Linga defend. He's going to take the inside line, which forces Immortalis around the outside, but it's just going to push him off track, and the charge comes to a halt for the time being. But my word, Immortalis wants this 2nd place bad, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's been battling to 2nd twice now, and yeah, really wants that 2nd step on the podium.
It's incredible, and looking like he's going for the inside up here. It looks like out of control, but just manages to hang on to it. Linga able to avoid the contact. Incredible. They're side by side, and Immortalis this time will have the inside, gets the line, gets 2nd place, and he's back up there once again.
Little flash of the lights, just the acknowledgement of awareness for Linga, and yeah, just respect of not coming together. They were door to door through a lot of that, almost touching.
This has been an absolutely fantastic race so far, and we've still got 5 minutes left, and I don't think it's over. I'm not sure if Linger is able to hang on, but I know he won't give up the fight. As iMotorsports, in fact, runs a little bit wide and just gives Linger that sniff of an opportunity, so he's really not going to give this one up. And now suddenly the pressure is all on iMotorsports, as Linger now will find himself in the slipstream as they go down the back straight. And iMotorsports immediately goes defensive, is weaving, trying to break that toe. It may have worked there, Linger not quite able to continue following behind there, and a little bit difficult to call that one, obviously, because it's a case of that you don't weave, but at the same time you also don't do a double block. I think that was more weaving to break the toe rather than a double block, but iMotorsports will need to keep his nose a little bit clean there.
Yeah, and as they're doing this, it looks like Bruce has been making up some ground, setting some very quick laps, almost the fastest lap in the race, but little guy looks like he has that, oh never mind, it's 39 one. I thought it was a 38 one.
We're looking at iMotorsports as a 38-1 for the fastest lap, so yeah, it's going to be another second that Little God needs to find if he wants that extra point to try and close that championship lead down from Bruce Law, who's I think maybe just settled for 4th place now with Snarling Bongo out of the way. These two finding further up ahead. I mean, it's a potential opportunity to try and get involved still. He's just there in the background, and these two, they keep coming to blows. If iMotorsports keeps running wide, keep making mistakes here or there, Linger is still going to fight this one. Podium positions, maybe not that out of touch, but it's got to be a lot of work, especially with just 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, Linger looks like he was just backing off a little there, giving some space, maybe cooling the tires down, especially that left front, and he might just be looking to save it for the last couple laps.
Looks like Snarling Bongo's had another mistake, has fallen about 12 seconds behind now in his chase against CDN Trooper. So CDN Trooper looking maybe quite comfortable for another 5th place finish here, and he'll be happy with that, a 3rd, 5th place in this season. He's really coming on leaps and bounds, and really look forward to seeing what else he can do. As we get down 2.5 minutes now, can Linger find a way through, or is it game over?
Yeah, it's gonna be cutting it close whether Bruce can get involved in this battle for 3rd.
I love the fact that Blankvar is saying, is this really Barcelona? All these fights, all these battles for positions, all these overtakes. I don't know. Is it Barcelona? I mean, it looks like it. I'm not quite sure. But the fights have been absolutely fantastic on track. So with a few moments to go, I guess it's time that we pass over to McToasty. Who has been your driver of the race? I mean, so many options that you could go for in this one.
Yeah, I have to give it to iMotorsports. He's really provided the most entertainment throughout the race, I'd say.
A fantastic drive by him as well as he crosses the line now. I think it might be touch and go as to whether this is the penultimate or final lap. Obviously, oh god, has a few seconds up the road. He may decide to slow down to try and avoid one last lap, but we'll have to see. He's got a gap, so he's got that comfort to be able to do so. As we just take a look through the rest of the field, see if there's any close battles. I think everyone's pretty much set as they are now, barring a few mistakes, and of course we've seen them, so it's not out of the question just yet.
Yeah, I hope not seeing a couple drizzles of rain in Sector 1 on the straight. Oh, looks like someone's around. Someone spun. Is that Green Gaming?
Might have been Green Gaming. It is Green Gaming. Just staying out of the way yet again, I think. It just seems to be every time we come across him staying out of the way, and it looks like he's done quite a lot of damage to the front of that car actually. So Green Gaming maybe not quite having such a fun day in the race at the moment.
Yeah.
As we follow, by the way, there is a race leader. It's Little God, as we can see here. 14 seconds left. He's not going to coast it. He's going to make him do one last lap. Then he crosses then to start the final lap. And I suppose we've been so entertained by everything else, we've completely really forgotten to talk about Little God, haven't we? What a race he's had.
Yeah, he's been in the front the whole time. Quite a gap between him and second. And yeah, we had quite a battle between second all the way down to sixth for a long time, for a good majority of the race. And Little God has just been quietly lapping away in the 139s when it got dry, and he's just coasting home now. I'm sure he sees the little bit of rain starting to come through the clouds, and just being a little cautious.
Saying thank goodness this is the final lap, and it's been one of those things that I know Little God has been really annoyed with, because he's been there or thereabouts, but just issues here and there, sometimes out of his control, sometimes unforced errors, has maybe not put him in as strong a position as he'd like to be. But finally it looks like the win that has been eluding him for quite a while is coming along, and I know this is really going to energize Little God. And we saw what happened to him come the end of last season, so we know that this is going to be just the start of trying to put that pressure on Bruce Law as we come to the end of the season, as he makes the chicane for the last time, comes around the final corner. Is the championship back on for Little God? He's a little bit behind, but this will help him out. It's the first win of the season. It's his 4th overall in GT1. It is victory for Little God, and just what he needed at the right time. Immortalis, with one of the most entertaining races I think I've seen in quite a long time in GT1, will come across the line in 2nd place, and Linga Bazinga, after 3 no scores, will get himself back on the podium once again. It's very difficult to keep him off when he's on track, and he takes 3rd place. Bruce Law, the championship leader, will see that lead cut further, down in 4th place, and City End Trooper equaling 5th place, best result for a 3rd time this season. Starling Bongo will come through and just go through the final chicane and the final corner. Maybe a little bit disappointed, was in that fight for 2nd place for quite a while until a few mistakes just crept in near the end, and finds himself down in 6th place there. Dr. Popford doing his own thing once again. He's looking good for a 7th place finish, so a solid result once again from Dr. Popford as he now makes his way through the final few corners, and I think that may pretty much see us through the rest of the field. So how about that for a race?
Yeah, what a race it's been. Changing conditions, lots of battles all the way throughout the grid. That was a great one.
And now we can sit back and try and relax after that one. A fantastic race at the Circuit de Catalunya here in Barcelona in Spain. It is a victory for Little God, his 1st of the season and 4th career in the GT1 Championship, to help him close the lead in the Drivers' Championship. Takes him to 2nd place now on the table. Immortalis finds himself in 2nd place after a very entertaining race for him, and Linga Bazinga makes up the podium in 3rd. It's 4th place for Bruce Law, the championship leader, finds his lead cut once again. City End Trooper is in 5th place, Snarling Pongo in 6th, Dr. Potford in 7th, Dirk Diggler is in 8th place, Destroyer in 9th, and Spankmeyer rounds out the top 10. Survivor is in 11th, Just Piddlin is 12th, and Green Gaming rounds out our grid in 13th. So that was a fantastic race once again, and don't forget that whilst you're here watching, to keep up to date with everything Flux Motorsport related, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon so that you get notified of all the latest videos as they appear here on YouTube. And why not drop us a like on this video as well. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Flux Motorsport, and don't forget that you can also join our Discord server to keep up to date with everything going on here at Flux Motorsport. If you want to take part in our championships, all you need to do is head over to FluxMotorsport.com, sign up there, just take part in a quick evaluation, and then you'll be able to join any one of our championships, including the GTE Championship, which takes place tomorrow night at Watkins Glen. It's 8 p.m. Eastern in America. That's 1 a.m. UK time Saturday morning. Jack NZ leads that championship by 18 points. And then Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern at 1 a.m. at UK time Sunday, it's the IndyCar Championship taking place at Watkins Glen. It's your boy Squash leading that one by 7 points. And then on Tuesday at 8 p.m. at UK time, it is round 7 of the Touring Car Championship at Sakito. Linga Bazinga leading that championship by 19 points. Matosi, summarize everything that we got to watch over that last hour and a bit. It's been incredible, hasn't it?
Well, yeah. Started in the wet in qualifying. We had some great laps set early on by Little God. I started from the pole, had a difficult start, but Immortalis made that amazing move down the middle for turn 1. Kept the lead for a little bit, Little God. Made that move back and just held the lead for the rest of the race. Really smooth drive. Made the pit stop at the right time and ended up winning the race, picking up another win. We're at Road America next week, one of my favorite tracks, and we'll be bringing you more action from the US side.
I can't wait for it. If this week's race was anything to go by, next week's is going to be even better. And it's not just because of the racing, it's because of McToasty's cheese facts. Trust me. You want to hear them about about Road America. I don't know where he brings them up, but he just does, and he brings them up in conversation all the time. It's just something about Road America and cheese, but we'll get there next week. Thank you for watching. He's been McToasty. I've been Redders. We'll catch you next week at Road America, and don't forget, Flux Motorsport continues tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the GTE Championship. Until next week, we'll see ya. Bye for now.